Welcome to the Champions of Change podcast, where we celebrate the inspiring stories of Black male educators who are transforming schools and empowering the next generation. Each episode highlights their journeys, challenges, and triumphs as they break barriers, uplift communities, and redefine what it means to lead in education. Tune in to be inspired, informed, and motivated by the powerful voices of those making a positive impact where it matters most, in our classrooms and in our schools. And now your host, Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Welcome to another inspiring episode of Champion of Change, the podcast where we highlight the stories, struggles, and successes of Black male educators who are shaping the future of education. I am your host, Dr. Sharon H. Porter, visionary of the book collaboration, Champions of Change, Black male educators making a positive impact in schools. And today, we have a powerhouse guest in the field of school leadership, Dr. Donovan Smalls II. He is an educator, a best-selling author, an educational consultant, and school leadership coach. As the founder and CEO of Smalls Leadership Consulting, LLC, Dr. Smalls is dedicated to helping aspiring school leaders land their first leadership role, navigate complex school dynamics, enhance communication skills, and drive instructional excellence. Dr. Smalls, welcome to Champions of Change podcast.
Thanks so much, Dr. Porter. I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, your journey into educational leadership is truly inspiring. Can you share what led you to pursue a career in education and ultimately school leadership?
You know, that's a great question. For me, going into education wasn't necessarily something that I saw myself doing when I was younger. I believe that it's something that I was called to, and so I just, answered the call. I honestly, sports is really my background. I majored in health and physical education, and I kind of fell into teaching. And so my mom was actually the one that said, well, look, you like sports, you love sports. Why don't you look into health and PE? And so that's what I did. And, eventually I just kept making those strides toward becoming a school leader. And I believe that it started with someone who saw the leadership qualities in me. And, sometimes that's what it takes. It takes someone else to see those qualities. And so that's what happened for me. And I just continued to say yes when the opportunities came and prepared myself as much as I could.
Wow. I absolutely love that. One of my favorite assistant principals that I had as a principal was a physical education teacher who turned educational leader.
Uh-huh.
So I absolutely love that. I love that. I'm going to have to connect you to.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
That's
my
great.
God. Absolutely. Now, many aspiring school leaders truly struggle with breaking into leadership. That's always the
Mm-hmm.
case, right?
Right.
What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced early in your leadership career? And now, how have you overcome them and actually helping others to do the same?
For me, I think it was about the confidence to lead, specifically when there are dynamics of like being a younger leader who is leading people who could potentially be older, right? That's a different set of complexities that comes with leadership. I remember stepping into my first leadership role. I was a vice principal at the high school that I graduated from, and a lot of the teachers that were there were once my teachers. So now I'm tasked with trying to lead them, trying to support them the best way that I could. And so I think, developing those relationships was key for me. And I would give that advice to any aspiring leader as well. It's like you need that confidence to lead, but you also want to be humble enough to lead with relationships. So I think that's the key. It's develop those relationships first, and that's going to give you the confidence to be able to lead them.
I really love that, the confidence to lead, because it truly, like, you cannot have confidence and lead effectively. Like, absolutely not. People will not respect
Right.
you.
Right.
They will run over you. And so I really love that. But what you then said is really cultivate and establish those relationships, because that
Mhm.
too is an important part of being an effective leader.
Right.
Nobody's going to listen to you if they don't respect you, right?
Mm.
If you have not built those uh, relationships. That's why we say it's not about the title, because people are not going to respect you just because you're the leader. You have to prove yourself. So I
Absolutely.
absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Now, you emphasize navigating complex school dynamics. What are
Mhm.
some of the most common challenges new leaders face in their roles, and how can they effectively manage them?
One of the most complex dynamics, I think, is the ability to now be a decision maker. As a classroom teacher, you are making decisions, you are responsible for your particular classroom. And so that is complex in and of itself. However, when you step into a school leadership role, now you are tasked with being a decision maker. Yes, you should most likely be a part of a team, but you are making decisions on behalf of children, on behalf of families, on behalf of staff that are going to impact everyone. And so when you are a decision maker, people are bringing you their problems, their issues, and you need to have a solution sometimes on the spot. And so, how are you thinking about solving those issues in a way that's going to be beneficial for everyone? I think that is an extremely complex dynamic that I walked into, right? Like, I was a classroom teacher. Now you're firing all these questions at me as a leader, and I have to figure out on my toes. Okay, am I referring this to our child study team? Does this go to the school counselors? Is this something that I need to handle? So all of those complexities in terms of decision making, I think it comes with practice, but that's probably one of the biggest complexities that I know I had to deal with, and a lot of aspiring leaders that I work with as well have to deal with.
I love it, because just today, one of my teachers who are aspiring to school leadership that I'm coaching now through this process, that's exactly what we talked about today: decision
Hmm.
making. That will make or break you. And it's okay to make mistakes, but you have to own
Hmm.
those mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. And
Hmm.
so that's one of the biggest things that we were talking about today. Something actually happened, and I asked her, "So, what would you do in this case?" Right?
Hmm.
Because you're right. As a teacher, you have tunnel vision. You're just looking at your class. You could care less about what's going on down the hall in Mrs. Jones' class.
Right.
But as a leader, you have to have a broad view, and your
Yeah.
perspectives have to, of course, encompass the entire school community. And so
Right.
that you hit it right on it, Dr. Smalls. That decision making is huge. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see the role of Black male educators evolving in school leadership? And then why is it critical that we have more Black men in these leadership roles?
I think it's evolving because of the example that we see and the impact that it has on all children. The research obviously talks about how having a black male as a teacher or as a leader significantly widens, people's framework, the way that they think, the way they see the world, regardless of their ethnicity or regardless of their gender, right? And I think it's important that we support and try to coach aspiring school leaders who are black males, and not just confine them to discipline, right? That's one of the things that a mentor told me. He said, yes, you are a black male, and sometimes you might feel like you're confined to just being a disciplinarian, but you need to be an instructional leader. And so I think that is more of the evolution that I am seeing. It's the emphasis on instruction, the emphasis on leadership, and not just discipline. And I think that's critical, right? Because if you are like me, you are an assistant principal, and at some point you want to be a principal and aspire to, at some point be a superintendent. You have to know instruction. You have to be able to coach and develop teachers. And the way that you do that is by being an instructional leader and not just a full-time disciplinarian. So that's the way that I see it evolving currently, and I hope that it continues to evolve in that way, and we have more black males stepping up into leadership positions.
I love it because that's really a wonderful segue into my
Mm-hmm.
next question, which is about instructional leadership. It is a major focus in
Mm-hmm.
today's school. Like that's what it's all about, right? What are
Mm-hmm.
some practical ways school leaders can foster a culture of instructional excellence?
I love this question because honestly, I struggled with in my first year as a school leader because I know that we are constantly preaching, be an instructional leader. You have to get into classrooms, but I always ask the question, what happens if you go into an environment your first year and there isn't a culture of coaching, feedback, and continuous improvement and instructional leadership? What do you do? And so, one of the strategies I use that I found to be effective is try to find a small cohort of teachers that you can coach, that you can develop the relationship first, so that when you are popping into the classroom to do your walkthrough, they know and they trust and respect who you are, to the point where they know that you're not just trying to get them and give them a bad evaluation, right? They know that you're truly there to support them. So my advice would be to start small, read the room first, and then start developing one, two, three teachers that you are constantly pushing into their classrooms to provide feedback. And then your reputation is going to grow to the point where, okay, people are going to talk and say, yes, this person is here to support me and not to harm me. They're not out to get me, they're out to coach me. And so developing that cohort is I think a highly effective strategy that aspiring leaders can use once they step into the role.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Now, one of your core missions is helping educators transition into leadership roles.
Mhm.
What are some key strategies that aspiring school leadership focus on to just stand out and
Mhm.
secure that coveted first leadership position?
So I typically look at leadership, as in three particular ways, right? Curriculum and instruction, culture and climate, and operations. So I always ask aspiring leaders, what experiences are you currently getting in those areas? Right. And I know that teachers are limited with their time. They're tasked with doing so much. We ask so much of them, and they're doing the best that they can. But one of the strategies I used in terms of operations, because we know that safety and security is top priority, I help. So we have a parking lot in the back of our school. I help the kids cross the parking lot as parents are dropping off. Right. So I used to do this early in the morning before school started. So now, and this also has given me a level of visibility with parents and with teachers. And if the superintendent comes by, right, it's about positioning. And so when you are focused on getting the experiences now that are going to help you, what data team can you join within your school? How can you lead a PLC? How can you lead a professional development session? Right? Can you coach a younger teacher, a novice teacher? Right? Those are all things that you're going to be doing when you step into the role. And when I speak with aspiring school leaders and I coach them, I try to encourage them to get as much experience as you can and change your perspective from a teacher to a leader.
I tell you, I love it. And so I want to pivot to parent and community engagement involvement because we know without the village
Mm-hmm.
it won't happen, right? And so
Right.
as a school
Right.
leader, that's one thing that we're all striving for is more parent
Mm-hmm.
involvement, more parent engagement. What that looks like may be different. It may look like individuals in the school. It may look like individuals supporting the school. Whatever it looks like. How do
Right.
you, let's say in a school leader's just stepping into the role into a school where there is no parent engagement, right? What would you say should be the first step in helping a novice school leader start on that journey of parent engagement?
I think number one is try your best to immerse yourself within the community. So I think it's important to, go to some of the town events and have conversation with people, introduce yourself, right? Go to those PTA meetings. I know as a new leader, I wasn't necessarily required to go to the PTA meetings, but I wanted to be visible. I wanted the community to know who I am, and I wanted to make sure that they knew that I supported them. And so I think it's important to, be visible. That's what it's truly about, right? Like those experiences, like I mentioned earlier, how can you be in the front of the building during drop off? Can you help students get off of the bus? Right? That's normally the time where parents are at the school building. Right? So join different community committees, immerse yourself in the community, and then just make yourself as visible as possible. I think those are some key points that'll help aspiring leaders.
Very good. And one of the things I can never forget, a few years ago when I was at another school, that was the first thing that I wanted because there was no active parent group, no PTA, no
Mm-hmm.
PTO. And truly, research has shown that where there is parent engagement, there is achievement, right? Because if
Yep.
we're all caring and pouring into our scholars, then the work moves faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
so I love that. And as a new leader coming on, whether it's a new assistant principal, a new principal, you want to get on board. And those things that you said, morning duty, afternoon duty, and
Mm-hmm.
even so much as those community meetings, as you said, in the community, the actual community. And a lot
Right.
of people, they don't, I don't know why. I guess if they don't really live in that community, they may
Mm-hmm.
find it a little challenging to get there, but you have to make the time because that's how,
Right.
again, in your words, you immerse yourself in the community to bring parents in. When you go out, they want to come in. So I
Right.
love that. I love
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that. So now I want to talk about mentoring and coaching because that's really leadership development is at the heart of what I do and love. That is a
Me
passion.
too.
And so exactly. And so it's just something my dissertation was actually on leadership development and inspiring principles to the principalship. So it's
Okay.
something that I have forever long. I was a leadership coach for my school district for
Mm-hmm.
5 years. And so it still is a burning passion for me.
Okay.
Can you talk about the importance? Because long ago, I would say within the last 10 years, you now begin to see coaching for educational leaders. That was not always a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Right.
always. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about the importance of that? Because number one, not all school districts have it. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how, if your school district does not have it, individuals need to find someone to be mentored by or coached by. So, can you talk about that, the important part of that?
Absolutely. I definitely would not be where I am without coaching and mentorship. That's hands down. I had an experience where I was being coached and mentored and continue to be coached and mentored by a phenomenal leader, my principal, Miss Leonard B. Hill, and she taught me so much and exposed me to so many opportunities, right? Because I believe in being a proactive coach and mentor. So, like, anytime I needed experience or she was, talking with a parent or making decisions, she would invite me into the room, right? So instead of just coaching me and having conversation, she's asking me, as you mentioned earlier, like, how would you handle this situation? Right? Those are some of the scenarios that I think she put me through that definitely helped me. So then when I moved on to a different school, I noticed that there wasn't a culture of coaching and mentorship. And you can see that it was evident. And that's actually what helped inspire me to go into leadership because I saw the difference between schools where people are being coached and mentored and people are not. And so that's one of the things that I definitely have taken with my career and my coaching because I truly understand the value in it and it does make a difference with teaching and learning. So yeah, I'm sold on coaching and mentorship.
Absolutely. I love it. And speaking of that, you are a best selling author, and your book is a coaching mechanism of sorts. So can you share a little bit about the book and,
Hmm.
really what really sparked your interest in writing it?
Hmm. Just as you mentioned, my book is titled Beyond the Classroom, and I wrote this book because I understand the power of coaching and mentorship. And so I wanted to write a book that was a little bit different in terms of the structure. And my book provides strategy, it's practical. I have insight from other educational leaders, not just me. And I wanted to provide people with tangible things that they can do as they are transitioning from a classroom teacher to a school leader. And so that was really the heart of why I wrote this book. It wasn't just something that I, woke up one day and just wanted to write. It was a collection of experiences that I had, and I just felt led to try to help and coach other people through this book. And so that's really why I wrote it. And I'm excited about the feedback and the impact that I've been seeing so far.
I'm excited for you.
Thank
Beyond
you.
the classroom, guys. I love it. I love it. Well, Dr. Smalls, before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice you'll give to educators who aspire to lead, but maybe feeling a little unsure or even hesitant to take that next step?
I think it's important to take that next step, especially if you feel like you're being led to take that step. Because there is a school community, there are students, there are teachers that truly are going to benefit from your impact. And so, I understand that it could be a little bit scary because leadership is definitely different from teaching. But as we've been talking through this conversation, if you can find a coach or a mentor that can support you through your journey, I truly believe that you'll be successful.
Okay, aspiring leaders, you have received that golden nugget from Dr. Smalls. You need to make sure that you find someone, and I am adamant about if you don't have someone in your building, in your district, hey, reach out beyond that. Just like his book, Beyond the Classroom, it can be beyond the district and beyond the school to get you a mentor or coach that will get you to the next level. I'm excited about it, Dr. Smalls. I really am.
Thank you.
Please share where our listeners and viewers can connect with you, where they can learn more about Smalls Leadership Consulting, LLC, and also where can they access your book and any resources that you have.
So I can be reached at my website. It's Donovan Smalls, the number 2.com. And I'm also on all social media platforms at Donovan Smalls, the number 2. And so people can connect with me, as you mentioned, with if they need coaching, mentorship. My book is also on my website as well. And so, just want to thank you, Dr. Porter, for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's truly been my pleasure. So thank you. And I want to
Thank you.
thank
Thank
our
you.
listeners, our viewers, everyone who have tuned in for this wonderful episode. We want to thank Dr. Smalls for his insights, for the incredible work that you're doing to empower the next generation of school leaders. And as I said, our listeners, we thank you today. And if you found today's conversation valuable, please be sure to subscribe and share this episode for someone who needs to hear it. So until next time, keep leading, keep inspiring, and keep championing change. Thank you for joining the Champions of Change podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us for a new episode every Tuesday, wherever you listen to your podcast.